Trent Cotney and John Kenney are dedicated to helping the construction industry with legal business and safety challenges. Welcome to this week's episode of Law and Mortar.
Hey, this is Trent Cotney. I'd like to welcome everybody to another episode of Law and Mortar. As always, I've got John Kenney with me. John, how are you doing?
Doing great. Great to be here again today. It's another beautiful day.
Yep, we just not too long ago was at the FRSA 100th Expo. Good show, great turnout. We had all kinds of speaking and booth obligations, and you name it. It was quite a trip. So my favorite part of it, I guess, was just getting to see some of the history. Had a great luncheon where they kind of went through, some of the historical stuff, and then you and I got to talk about it. But what did you take away from it, John?
Yeah, I thought the educational conference sessions, like you said, we both spoke at them, were very well attended. And they did something. This was a 3-day conference where they've gotten back to 2. But because of the 100th, they did the 3. And they really opened up the 3rd day where you didn't have to pay for those classes. And being the last day of the show, I would say more people went to those conferences by them opening it up than they normally would have at a standard conference. So my hat's off to FRSA for the way they ran the event over there, being it was a new place that none of us have been to in the conference center. They had plenty of people to guide people around. So everybody I talked to had a really good time over there. So it was a good takeaway.
Yeah, great event. Good seeing everybody. So kind of turning to some of the stuff that we're getting calls about, one of the big things that we kind of mentioned in I guess last time's episode is, starting to see an uptick in problems with collections. Longer either slow pay or no pay is happening to a lot of our contractors and trades out there. And one of the things, we often get involved on the lien side or having to file a payment bond claim. And, for our listeners out there, you got to understand one thing: lien law is incredibly complex. Like it changes in almost every single state. There's a lot of either preliminary requirements or, timing requirements to get your lien recorded and perfected. So this is the kind of thing where, I really encourage contractors to plan in advance, because getting that secured interest could be the difference between getting paid and not getting paid. And so many of our contractors out there just wait until the end. And then by that time, they can still sue for breach of contract, but they don't have that hammer, which is often the lien claim. So John, I know, on the consulting side, you're always talking to, contractors and trades about, different operational issues. I'm sure you're probably hearing some of the same stuff about, collections problems continuing to arise.
Yeah, definitely. So, tagging on to the lien thing, and any contractor out there, and this is really coming more from my experience when I was a contractor. Yes, if you do everything right, that's why you go to to great lawyers like Trent that know how to do all this and how to file it. But there seems to be a misconception that you think it's called quick pay. It's not. This is a long, grueling process if you can win. I mean, I can't tell you how many times where I've been right and you may not get anything at the end. So I always recommend going back to the operational side. Make sure everything is right. So if you got to lien it, you got to protect your rights. Absolutely, you got to do it. But if you can solve this problem prior to getting to that, whatever it takes, even sometimes if it's a discount off of it, you're probably going to put more money in your pocket than you will going through the entire lien process. And I assume that's probably backed up now as bad as anything else is in the courts, right, Trent, to get all this through. You got to still hit your dates, but to actually, because the other party could take this right to suit, and then you got to go into the legal suit, correct?
Right. You got to plan in advance. Like, you don't want to wait. Some states like Florida, for example, you got 90 days after your last day of work to report a claim of lien. You don't want to wait till, the 80th day. You want to do it well in advance, because, it takes time to get stuff done. It takes time to get it in the clerk's hands and have them recorded. So plan in advance. That's the key thing. Absolutely critical, especially now that we're starting to see, some signs of the economy weakening. I know one of the other things that you and I have always harped on, and I remember having the discussions 2 or 3 years ago where we were kind of talking about a lot of the legal issues that are out there that are really a result of poor, operational capability or a problem with your standard operating procedures. what's some of the advice that I guess you're giving your, consulting customers now about, how to run your business better, and what are some of the questions that you're getting lately?
Well, one of the big things that I've been trying to teach and getting out there, and we talked about in the seminars, and I'm really consulting with a lot of clients on this, is starting in the correct estimating end, right? Knowing your numbers, knowing your costs, knowing what your daily, overhead rate is. So what's your job, how long it's going to last, so you get your numbers right. But there's one important key to that. Do a preliminary risk analysis, PRA, simple. You can remember it. Do a PRA. You can limit 90% of your issues by doing a proper upfront examination of whether you should or should not bid on that project. I will tell you right now, there's nothing worse than bidding on a wrong project for your company that maybe you don't have the workforce to do. Maybe it's a new system you're not used to and you don't price it right. That will haunt you all the way through the end. And then, of course, some of the other trainings I like to hone in on is once you get that process right, get the information correctly to the field. I will tell you, most of these mistakes that hold up payment problems on jobs, if it's everything's equal and it's not a problem with banking or financing, which can happen, but usually what holds your payments up the longest is a discrepancy in how you put a system down. Is it done correctly to specifications? Did you do something without an RFI, so on and so forth. So I like to teach all the proper aspects of operations once it gets out into the field as well. So if you really can match those between the front end and actually putting it down, your closeout process will be a lot simpler, and you have a really good position to get paid without fighting through the system because you've already done everything correctly. You can limit it. That's my biggest advice right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that follow through is key. You've got to have great execution throughout all the things that you're doing. And just this week we had a call from a contractor that has got some significant liability resulting from some water intrusion and some new construction that's occurring. And they're pointing the finger at the trade, saying, "Hey, it's their problem," when in reality it's probably not. So making sure that you document that, even if it means hiring your own consultant to do water testing and get the reader out there, the meter, to kind of see what the moisture content is. All that, the preservation of evidence is absolutely critical. And that's one of those things from an operational standpoint that I always say, John, you've heard me say it a million times, the party with the best paper wins the day. That's the key difference right there. It is executing your game plan every single day. Consistency is key. That's the difference between a successful company, regardless of whether it's from the business side of things or the legal side of things. So just making sure you got a game plan and you stick to it. So, John, what do you got coming up on the horizon here? I know we were talking about a few things before we started here, but what's the plan look like for you?
Well, busy travel times, as we talked about. I'm actually leaving tomorrow to go to Chicago. It should be very interesting. Going to do some tours of some facilities on different newer technologies and the way things, technologies in the business, not only just in construction, but also how to run businesses. Looking very forward to that. Then we got some other events coming up later on, and I know it's a ways off, but when you think about it, it's like 6 or 8 weeks. We're all going to be out of Western states. So I see they're promoting that more and more. You got to sign up for that. That's a great event. And then of course we got October travel, which we got plenty of time to get into that later in November, December. But I will say I'm very lucky going to Chicago. I see the high of Thursday is only 78. So being here in Florida with 100, as you know, with 115-degree heat index every day, I'm looking very forward to dropping down to some nice spring weather.
Oh yeah, Chicago is my home away from home. I get up there all the time, and I'm jealous you get another chance to get up there. So I will be at the Southeast Builders Conference on Thursday, speaking about the latest with materials issues. Looking forward to that. Then I will actually be speaking with GAF. I'm going to do a couple of presentations for them for their contractor group here at the end of August. Looking forward to being able to kind of talk about the latest with OSHA and some other contract related issues. And then, like you said, next big thing is Western States. Huge event. Looking forward to getting out to Vegas to see all of our contractor friends out in the Western States there. So busy times ahead, John.
Yep, busy times, good times.
Yep. Well, now is, I believe, your favorite part of the program, John. like I said, we've been getting a lot of questions in, so I'm a little bit behind, but let me see if I can find a good one here for you. This one I think is pretty good. This is from Billy. Billy wants to know what accounting software do you recommend for construction companies, both for internal accounting and for billing?
Well, that's a great question, Billy. I will tell you, just so you know, the majority of contractors under 10 million use QuickBooks. It's just a given fact. I run into that more and more. And I would like to say, in fairness to QuickBooks, it is not a bad software for under that $10 million range. Once you get a little bit bigger than that, there's also Sage software. Look them up. They have Sage 100, 200, 300. They're a great software. And also, too, just had partnered. I don't know how large Billy's company is, Billy. We didn't talk. You didn't write that on there. But you also have Foundation software, which is really specifically construction. And they've also recently purchased out the Edge for estimating. So they really incorporate very well. I think billing wise, they're all pretty easy to bill on. But once you get into the larger company, QuickBooks is not the greatest for a lot of deep dive construction project management and so forth. Again, it depends on the size of your company. But once you get into Sage and Foundations, I have personal use knowledge with Foundations. That's a great software out there. I'm sure there's a few other ones, but those are the ones that most contractors that I'm working with or I have knowledge of are using one of those three.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the key is making sure that whatever you got, you're using it right. Right. So, I'll hear a lot of complaints from contractors that spend a lot of money for great software, but at the end of the day, don't use it. So make sure.
Garbage in, garbage out. That is true.
There you go. Well, John, we're at the end of another episode. Obviously, want to thank everybody for making us the #1 construction law podcast in the world. Stay tuned next week for another episode of Law and Mortar. To reach me, you can always contact me, Trent Cotney, at trent.cotney@arlaw.com. John, how can they reach you?
Real easy. Same way on email, jkenney@cotneyconsulting.com. Looking forward to hearing from you.
Great. Thank you, guys.